Hi everyone, I'm about to be joined by Kelsi. She is going to be talking tonight about her own IVF journey and also the procedures that she's had to go through in her TTC journey. She's one of the fabulous ambassadors who has helped so much with our Fertility Help Hub initiative, Fertility Clinics versus COVID, which is giving away 7 free rounds of IVF or donor sperm to people who have been affected by COVID to help people restart their journeys. So if you don't know about it, head to fertilityhelphub.com to find out more and to apply. And tonight I'm going to be talking to Kelsi to find out where she's at. So the ambassadors, here we go, are a mixture of community who have been through the struggle. They've either been through it or they're going through it now, and so it's lots of different people's experiences to support other people. Hi Kelsi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I've been sick, so excuse my voice and my cough, but it's getting better, so apologies if I start coughing.
I know, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
So how are things in California?
Good, it's good. We just had a crazy rainstorm here, but now everything's kind of like green and lush and beautiful, so I have no complaints.
Good.
Yeah.
And when I was posting to announce this morning my time, that we were coming on live tonight, I was just, obviously we've chatted before and we've got to know each other, and that's what I love about this community, and you've been the most incredible ambassador supporting this initiative of the free IVF and donor sperm that I've been working on and that's live now. But just reading back, everything you sent me in preparation for tonight, I just read each stage and I just thought, no. I just didn't want to read more because I just can't bear it. So I really appreciate you talking live about it, because I know it's incredibly hard and it will be a support for so many people who may be experiencing similar things and have questions. So thank you for that.
Of course, I'm so happy to do it.
So first of all, tell us a bit about you. Like, when did you start your page? You've got a big following. How did it all begin?
Okay, so I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. So my husband and I have been together for almost 10 years, and we decided to kind of stay married for a year and kind of enjoy that honeymoon phase. So that was about 3 years ago. And then we decided after a year, we kind of were like, let's get the ball rolling and start trying for a family. So we start trying and we fell pregnant pretty much right away, like maybe a month or two of trying. So we were super excited. And about 6 weeks in, I had some really heavy bleeding, and like accompanied by like some crazy, like excruciating back pain, like unlike no other, where I was like, something's not right, like I've like torn muscles, like this is like something different. I can't even describe it, but I was like, we need to go to the hospital. Like I know something's wrong. So
Had you told people that you were pregnant at this point?
we told my husband has a twin brother, so you can imagine they have a very close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we told like our parents, no one else. And so, yes, we're 6 weeks. We go, we're in the waiting room and they're explaining that they're like, are you sure you're pregnant? Cause like, there's no sac in your uterus. And I'm like, well, I took a pregnancy test 6 weeks ago and it said I was pregnant, So the whole like mood kind of shifted, and they're kind of like, there's more tension in the room. And so they all of a sudden kind of find it, and it's outside of my uterus. And so I had an ectopic pregnancy, which for those who don't know is basically when the fertilized egg implants outside of your uterus. So all of a sudden I'm getting rushed up to emergency surgery, and I'm like, I can't even comprehend what's going on, because it's like I just lost my baby. They can't even find the baby. It's just like there's so much going on. And so we go up for surgery. I wake up and I'm just like in disbelief. Like I can't even believe this just happened. I didn't even know what an ectopic pregnancy was. I had no idea. And so
did you know anyone else at the time who had one?
I didn't even know the term at the time.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So
yeah.
It was like so from left field. Like I was just like, I don't even know what to think right now. Like, and they told me like, it's not super common, but it is. I guess it does happen in about 1 in 50 women. So as you can imagine, like not super common, but also more common than you think.
Yeah.
And it just like threw a whole like punch in my gut, because like I bled for 4 months straight. It was like a constant reminder of losing the baby, of like what we went through. It was terrible. So
Gosh.
once we kind of geared up, to try again, I was obviously very nervous and scared to, keep trying. But we tried for about a year, and I was like, this is not right. That like drenched, like, oh my God, like all the negative tests, like temperature checks, it's just absolutely draining. So we went and saw a doctor, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to send you off to get an HSG test, which is when they put the dye in your tubes to kind of make sure there's nothing blocking anything. And there we found out that my tubes were blocked, and it was probably from the ectopic pregnancy. So,
and is that's quite a painful procedure, I've heard, is that right?
Yes, and it can implant like anywhere outside your uterus, so kind of depends. I know people that have lost both of their tubes due to ectopic pregnancies. I know people that have lost one. Luckily, I didn't lose one, but I did get a lot of scarring down there, which is what caused us to not be able to get pregnant moving forward. And so he said, like, well, I'm going to have, I can't really do much for you from here. You're going to need to go see a fertility specialist. So that is when I looked on Instagram to kind of see, like, is anyone talking about their journey? Like, where can I find some information? Because, like, I don't even know where to look, And so I start looking up, like, hashtag infertility and then all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many women out there just sharing their journeys. It was a whole universe that I had no idea that was even out there until I started, like, kind of researching a little bit more. And
so when was this? What year was this?
Was the end of 2018. So yeah, like 2 years ago. And so my eyes were just like, oh my God. So I kind of knew it was there in the back of my head. And then we did make a appointment with a fertility specialist, and he basically explained to us, like, you have to do IVF with blocked tubes as your diagnosis. So then I start looking up IVF, and I see all these women just sharing their journeys. And I was like so astounded that something so personal and, it's something so personal and so sensitive that people were sharing. I just could not believe. And they were like totally inspiring me. So I was like, I want to share my journey. It's such a good way to document too, like what you're going through. And I saw like all the comments, how much support everyone was giving one another. And I was like, I need to do this. Like, and so I started messaging girls for support on there and started my own. And I had no idea it was going to like become what it is now, but I'm like so thankful. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
You must have so many people messaging you just saying how supportive they find it.
They do. I live for those messages. It just makes it like it tells me like why I'm doing this. Like it makes it all worth it for sure. So yeah.
Absolutely. Do you find sometimes it can be difficult though, like as in social media can be quite addictive, can't it? So to kind of switch off and not look at things, and
when
big announcements or things can set you back, can't they, sometimes mentally?
They can, for sure. I remember when I got pregnant this last time, I couldn't even go on. I was like, I know what my feed is all about, and that is women dealing with infertility and getting pregnant. So as happy as I am for those people who have struggled, it's still hard to see anybody getting pregnant. Even when you're pregnant, it's weird. It's still a trigger. So I stayed off a little bit. And there is this weird, like when we miscarried our last time, I felt like such a need, like I have to share with everyone because everyone's so invested in my journey. And I didn't necessarily want to like revisit that at that time, but I also felt compelled to like, everyone is so loyal and, they've really been rooting us on. So I felt like I need to go on there and still tell everyone, even though it wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. It can be hard, like, putting everything out there because everyone's expecting you to continue to share what's going on. So it puts a lot of pressure on you sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah. And do you feel like you've made some nice friends through the community as well?
Some best friends, seriously. Like I couldn't have got through like my last 3 rounds of IVF without the support I got from the community. There's a few girls that I talk to every day, FaceTime for hours on end.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's so special. Yes, it's so special. So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's been turbulent for you, hasn't it? since you started IVF? What would you say you've kind of learned since going through this?
I like my ectopic pregnancy, I knew nobody that went through IVF or even dealt with infertility, at least that I know, because no one like came and, was upfront and forward about it. So as far as I know from my group of friends growing up, I'm the only one that's gone through this. So I just, yeah, I think I was very naive going into this. Like, I really thought, okay, we're going to do it, but we're going to have a baby, so it's going to be okay, I was like, it's just going to take a little bit more for us to start our family. I didn't realize I would be 3 rounds deep and another miscarriage and still not have a child. I did not think that going into this. I literally thought, like, we're going to do it, but it's okay because we'll have our family in the end.
How's your relationship been with your husband?
Our first year was probably the worst year we've had together ever. I talk about it a little bit too on my Instagram, but we were thrown into this huge unknown where both of us, it was such a stressful situation and we didn't know anything that had to do with anything. And we're doing these shots and every little thing is so stressful. Like, do these need to be refrigerated? How many milligrams of this one do we need? And we're doing 3 or 4 shots a day. And we were just like fighting against each other instead of with each other. And I think he didn't know that the meds were going to affect me like they did. I kind of fell into a depression. I wasn't myself. And I think he was tired of trying to pick me up all the time. And because he didn't realize how much IVF really affected me emotionally, physically, everything. And it wasn't until probably our first transfer that failed that we really were like, what can we do? Because we're not a team anymore. We're working against each other. Like, how can we fix this? And honestly, like, we just had a really long conversation that night and it was really heartfelt. And ever since then, I can't even talk. We have been so much stronger than we ever have been. But I know that it can take a huge impact on marriage because it was really hard for us. And I think just, the losses of just like not having it stick or losing another baby, it brought us closer overall. But I think our very first few months of trying to figure everything out and navigate through like the huge unknown was really, really tough.
Thank you for your honesty. And I think that, like you said, you're not alone. So many people feel like that. I did. Our relationship was like that. We argued about who we were telling what, how we were talking about it, decisions, timings, all sorts of things. So I know that, so it's the 1st of February today, and you told me that you're going to be doing a frozen transfer soon. Is that right?
I am. God, I think I'm 8 days. I'm on CD8, so I think 21 I transfer. So another, 12 days or so, another 2 weeks or less. So yeah, pretty soon here.
And have you been with the same clinic the whole way through?
I have, yeah. And, I've gotten some feedback from that, like, oh, you've had 3 failed rounds. You should switch clinics. And it's interesting because it's like, I know that my doctor is literally doing everything in her power to get me pregnant. And so for me, it's like a no-brainer. Like, I'm going to stick with her. She's the most supportive, like, best doctor. So,
and sometimes when you've built up that rapport, you just want to continue with it, don't you? I mean, it's not the same for everyone, but I felt the same because I went to the States for treatment.
Yeah.
And we needed to go back to the same place again because of the legalities around the donor sperm, but also I liked having the same specialist because I got to know her and really trusted her views and felt a comfort in seeing her when I was having treatment.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
Which people may relate to.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, has COVID affected your timings?
Not as much as other people, and my heart breaks seeing other people who's had their cycles canceled. Even in the depths of like when COVID was very, very bad, my clinic still stayed open. They just took like extreme measures. So I do think there was like 1 week or 2 weeks where they closed, but I was not personally affected by that. But I know there was obviously a few people that were, but my clinic has been pretty good about, still trying to treat people during this hard time. So, yeah.
And obviously you're very open on your page with the community about your journey and times, like you just said, so thank you for that. But are you the same with your family as well and your friends outside of the community?
I am. So pretty much everyone in our family follows me on here. And that was another thing that my husband and I kind of butt heads against, because he couldn't even fathom me sharing like these very intimate details of our journey. Because he's like, what? You're going to talk about the fact that we don't have sex? Like my mom's
Yeah.
following you,
Yeah.
like this is so awkward. And so, it did take a little bit of getting used to, but
But
yeah,
don't you find
everyone.
that when you've
Uh-huh.
got into fertility treatment, like sometimes not dignity, but you get used to having to do things, don't you? So like
Yeah, that makes you uncomfortable
the
sometimes.
yeah, but then because my same thing, my father-in-law came to the States with us to help us with procedure, like just to be there as a support person. My husband had his surgeries and couldn't be there whilst I had retrievals and things like that, so my father-in-law stepped in. And it's amazing how quickly you break down those barriers, because it's like such a big thing you're doing. You don't focus as much on like the awkward, I don't know,
That's true.
ultrasounds or the talking about your period or things that you might have felt uncomfortable about before going through it, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's super true. And I grew up without a mother, so I think it has been hard for me to just not have that motherly figure there to like kind of
Hmm.
guide me and walk me through. But I thank God my husband's mother, my mother-in-law, is just so sweet and has held my hand through this whole process.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, and no matter how awkward or uncomfortable, she is like right there to like. So yeah, I'm happy that we share with them, because that support is something I can't always just get from the community. Like that family support is so important. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Does anyone
Yeah.
have any questions for Kelsey whilst we're on tonight? I don't know whether we've covered quite a lot, haven't we? But I mean, so just going back a bit, just because it was
Yeah.
something I was thinking about earlier, when the doctors told you that, IVF was your only option and, the fallopian tubes were blocked, did you feel kind of like, okay, let's do this and kind of all into it, or were you scared and upset that you couldn't conceive naturally?
I don't know if it really hit me right away, like what we were about to embark on. I think
Hmm.
that I just feel so naive going into this. I didn't even really know, like, truly, I knew what IVF was. I didn't know in depth how much, like, we were about to, be going through. So I don't know. I, I don't know. Sorry, I'm like having a brain fart. What did you just ask me? I'm like, where was I going?
No, I think I just was, I guess, because I was just thinking about with our diagnosis,
Oh,
when we first found out we needed to have IVF, it was kind of a mixture of this is terrifying and I can't even believe we're in this position, matched with this is actually the closest we've probably got to having a baby. So
right.
it's a weird thing, isn't it?
It
And then
So
and
it
then
was a weird feeling. So I want to tell you a quick story. So
yeah.
I actually play poker as like kind of a hobby as a living as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I know not a very common job, but like my husband was a professional poker player when I met him. So about a week before our first appointment, I was just playing poker at the table, and you get a certain hand, you win a jackpot. Well, I hit that certain hand. It's like one in like 100,000 or something that you hit it, and the jackpot was for $16,000. So when I first went into my first appointment and I asked her like, well, how much are we looking at for like IVF? And she said $16,000 was her first initial that came out of her mouth. So I was like, I just felt like, here's your first round. You got this. You can do it. It was a weird feeling because I felt like it was a gift. Like, here you go. You're going to have
Wow.
to, it was the same exact amount. So I think that going into it, I was a little bit like, it was different for me because I felt like the universe was like telling me like
Like a
this is
good
what you're
time.
gonna do and we're
Yeah.
gonna help you, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get through it. So I had a little bit different feelings going into it, I guess, than some,
Yeah.
but still very naive going into it.
Gosh, that
So
is a unique story.
yeah, it's funny. I'll never forget that. It still makes me like get chills to this
Yeah.
day. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Did you tell the fertility clinic? Did you tell your specialist?
I don't think I ever did because I felt weird. Like, I don't know. I always feel weird telling people I play poker. So I'm like,
I think it's cool. Someone just said, I
yeah,
love that story. A
yeah,
couple of quick questions before you go.
yeah, of course.
Someone's asked whether you have any other fertility issues.
Um, no, but I do get my thyroid regulated. So I just made a post about this, about how much your thyroid affects your fertility. And I was actually born without a thyroid. So for me, I've had to really be extra cautious about getting my levels checked during this time. We did have a weird scare with our genetic counselor. Like, my husband has his Y chromosome is flipped. So we weren't really sure what that meant, but we kind of got it all figured out. And for us, it was not actually going to be a factor for us moving forward, which was good. And besides that, like, no, not really, just blocked tubes, but we are going to be looking into other things because I have had recurrent pregnancy loss. So as far as I know right now, fingers crossed, that's all I have are blocked tubes.
Thank you. Yeah. And then someone else has said, how long ago did you have to notify your fertility clinic that you wanted to use your frozen embryo? I guess that probably just depends on the clinic, doesn't it, in terms of availability?
Yeah, I usually by your period, like, because if you want to start, you start taking meds on day 2. I would even say probably like a week or 2 before, if you know it's coming.
But did you have to wait for X amount of cycles after the miscarriages? And
no, I think she would at least hope that I had 1 cycle. You know, obviously you have to have a cycle, but no. I personally knew that was not something I was going to jump back into right away. You know, yeah.
And if you're happy to answer this, someone's asked, depression from the meds, how long did it last?
Oh gosh. I honestly have to say that until I started January of 2019, and I would say up until November, I was just in a weird depression, and I'm someone who's very happy-go-lucky all the time. So we had our miscarriage, and that set me back even more. And then I think taking a break from all the meds, everything, and just finding myself again after infertility is what really did it for me. So anyone that's like, gosh, I want to take a break, but I want to just keep going, you know, because I see the prize at the end of the tunnel. I'm telling you, the break did wonders for me, for my body. I feel more like myself, and I feel in such a good headspace going into this transfer. So
good.
Yeah.
And then some people have asked about the tests that you had for fallopian tubes. Were those ones you pushed for, or were those ones that the doctors recommended, and what were they?
So the doctor pushed for it. It's called an HSG test. It's a hysteropingogram. I can't even say the name of it. It is like the longest, weirdest word. The doctor pushed for it, and they do that basically as like a first avenue to see, like, okay, well, are things going up and out of there? You know, like, that's what we need to make sure of first. So my OB was the one who referred me to do that first, and that's when we found out they were blocked. Yeah.
So it's a good idea that they did it at that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That should be a lot of people's first step when trying to navigate through, like, is figure out, you know, because blocked tubes is actually a pretty common diagnosis. So
And did they check your husband's sperm as well?
They did. Yep, the sperm was fine. They did a sperm analysis. And also, I don't know if anyone else had to deal with this, but my husband has like performance anxiety. So it took us a long time, only when I'm not there. Like, obviously we're fine in the bedroom, but when we had to go in the little room, like, he came out and they're like, do you want her to go back there with you? Like, it was so awkward. So I'll never forget them testing the sperm because it took so long. And I'm like, just go in there and take care of it. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. You have to go jizz in a cup. Like, go take care of it, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I love your honesty, and as I said, you know, thank you for the support you give everyone, and also for being such an amazing ambassador for the campaign that I've been doing. So,
oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing for doing this. I can't stop talking about it to all my friends.
Oh, thank you.
It's just so amazing. So thank you for doing everything you do for the community. It's so amazing.
I think someone did actually just mention, you know, how expensive treatment is. So if you did miss that, go to Fertility Help Hub, because I have partnered with 8 fertility practitioners around the world, so a sperm bank and 7 clinics. And through America, Europe, and the UK, and it's open for everyone around the world, and travel's been taken into consideration due to COVID. So it's fertilityhelphub.com, and you can find out more and apply there. So Kelsi, it's been so nice chatting to you. I have everything crossed for this round.
Thank you.
I'm sure everyone watching does too. So look forward to chatting soon and have a good rest
Thank
of the
you.
day.
You
Thanks
too.
everyone for joining.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.